Ow, ow. Oh, mother. Sometimes I think I've lost my damn mind. I had this wild idea. The other day I had a subscriber join my page, and he's somebody that I really respect a lot. It's Keeping It Real Fishing. He's out of New Jersey, and he does nothing but, well, at least on his videos, he does nothing but swim bait fishing, and he's after the biggest, baddest fish in the lake. Finally, after a long journey, many attempts, a lot of long, grueling, bad weather days, he pulls out this giant fish. It really had an impact on me back then, and really my YouTube channel started with kind of watching people fish with these swim baits because it was something so foreign to me. So the first thing I did was I had a whopper plopper. I caught a big fish and I thought, wow, that was pretty exciting. And then I started watching these guys fishing with these Huddlestons, with these big S-wavers and all these large swim baits, and in particular, Keeping It Real Fishing. And I'd see him just dragging these big baits really slow all winter long. And about every third video, he'd pull a 4 or 5 pounder out. And he's in New Jersey. Fish don't get big like they do in Florida and New Jersey. So he's catching the biggest, baddest fish in the lake for sure. So I've always been inspired by that, but I get a little bored fishing in that style. So me and Pat, we've been through everything. Jigging, worming, topwater, frogging, BFS style fishing, spinning fishing with light weights and wacky rigs and finesse jigs and all kinds of stuff. So we've done it all and we kind of know what we like. We'd love to power fish. Pat and I would like to do nothing more than frog fish every day, all day for the rest of our lives. We would throw frogs and go for that topwater blow up and go for that hearty, meaty hook set and that just cranking down on the fish when you get them. Problem is, the window of time and the window of opportunity for that style of fishing is kind of narrow. You're going to catch them in the springtime, sometimes in the summer, but it's hard to really do that style of fishing year-round because winter comes and even early fall and it kills that bite right away. So one thing you can do is you can fish bigger baits or you can fish smaller baits in the wintertime. Lately, I've been fishing this Rapala Rip and Wrap. I throw it on a BFS rod. I'm pulling a lot of bites, but I'm catching a lot of small fish. And I've been thinking maybe that's not the way to go. So in comes my new great good idea. I'm going to get a giant reel and a giant rod, and I'm going to fish giant baits, and I'm going to start swim bait fishing again. I mean, why not? If I'm going to these lakes and I'm not catching any fish and these fish are high pressured and they're not hitting anything, why don't I just go throw baits that they never see? Like a Huddleston. Now, I've not caught anything on a swim bait, at least a Huddleston yet. Pat's caught a couple on the Huddleston 8-inch. This is the Huddleston 68. They call it the 68 because it's a 6-inch Huddleston, but it has the tail of the 8-inch Huddleston. Another bait I'm considering is the S-Waver. I don't know if you guys have seen this lure. This is by River to Sea, and this is like, I don't know, 7 inches, 6.5, 7 inches. And this is a jointed bait. When it goes through the water, it kind of like glides back and forth. I can't really do the gliding motion. You know what I mean. I'll show you one in the pictures. But this really pulls a big bite. And then, ow. Look, it did draw blood. In order to throw these big baits, you need a big reel and a big rod. So you can't just throw it on normal gear because the stuff's so heavy. If you go to cast it and you get a backlash, or you could break a rod, or you could backlash and throw a bait. So you kind of have to gear up for this stuff. So this is what I've done. So this is the Alijos reel, or the Alijos reel by Piscifun. It has a single handle crank. It's really big and oblong. And what this allows you to do is really bear down on the fish. Because when you're using these big swim baits and you get this hook pinned in their mouth, it may not penetrate all the way through. It could just be pinned in 1/4 of an inch. So you have to keep pressure on that fish and don't let off. The thing that's great about this reel, it's only a 5:9 to 1 gear ratio. So that means it's going to move slow through the water, whatever bait it's pulling. It's going to move that bait really nice and slow, which is what you want for a swim bait. And when you get bit, you can really hammer down and use this single handle crank to really grind those fish in and get them where you need them to be. The other thing is you need to use good line. I'm going to use either a mono 20 to 25 pound, or I'm going to use a braid with a leader, but usually I'm just going to use a straight line. This has your typical magnetic braking system over here. Now, one thing that's really nice about this is it has a 35-pound drag, which is about double what I have on any of my other bass reels. I can really set this drag high, throw some pressure on these fish, and crank these boys in and get them into the boat. So anyway, what I'm going to do is put that reel on a big rod. I'm going to use probably my Piscifun Torrent rod. It's the medium heavy 7-foot 1-inch, and it's a little stiffer than my other frog rod. It's more like my heavy jig rod. I'm going to use that for the 6-inch Huddleston, the S-Wavers, but if I start throwing 8-inch Huddlestons or anything bigger, I'm going to get to a bigger rod scenario with a little bit more backbone. But I don't want to go overkill because let's face it, I'm in Virginia. This isn't like the Delta in California where we're fishing, you know, big bass territory, 12, 13s. We're going to be lucky to catch a 5, a 6 in some of these ponds or waterways. Now, if I get over into the Occoquan or I get into the Potomac, I can probably start seeing some fish in the neighborhood of 5.5 to 7 range. I hope you enjoyed the intro. The reel's really beautiful. I'll kind of get it out on the water and test it and let you know how it works. And hopefully some of these bigger baits will start bringing some bigger fish. It's something new. Let's try it. Why not?